Republican Texas Governor Greg Abbott tests positive for coronavirus. Abbott's office says he is isolated in the governor's mansion and is being treated with Regeneron's monoclonal antibody treatment. This comes just hours after his campaign posted this video on Twitter. You can see it for yourself. There's Abbott in the center at an event he held in a crowded room of maskless supporters near Dallas last night. And it comes after the governor, of course, has publicly waged war against people in his own state over masks and vaccine mandates, despite a major surge of the virus in his state.
There will not be any government-imposed shutdowns or mask mandates. It would be inappropriate to require people who already have immunity to wear a mask.
Out front now, Dr. Paul Offit. He is a member of the FDA's Vaccine Advisory Committee. Dr. Offit, Governor Abbott, fortunately, is fully vaccinated. He's not experiencing symptoms at this moment, and of course, he's getting the full Regeneron treatment. But his infection comes after months, right, of blocking mandates for masks, COVID vaccines. You saw him yesterday at this, big event, never wearing a mask around no one else. And obviously, we find out he had COVID. He has taken his fight against masks and vaccine mandates all the way to the state Supreme Court. How much does this diagnosis weaken his argument?
Well, I certainly wish Governor Abbott a speedy recovery, but I'm sure he's learning now that masks are a lot cheaper than Regeneron. You know, why tie the hands of the public health officials behind their back? You have two weapons here. One is vaccines, the other is masking, and for children less than 12, that's the only weapon they have. So I think it seriously weakens his argument. I hope he sees it that way.
All right. So that is our topic. The governor of Texas, adamant, no government shutdown. You know, why make people wear masks? They have already been vaccinated. Now, we already know that most of the people that are not wearing a mask have not been vaccinated. If you pull up CNN, he was in a room full of hundreds of people, and he has tested positive for COVID. Now, he's tested positive right now. You know, in that initial phase, you really don't have signs, right? And you get, after some time, then you start getting this, the symptoms and the signs. The reason why they was able to catch it is because he has to be tested every day. And he was in a room full of hundreds of people with no mask. None of them had on a mask. All right. So y'all, come on. I want to hear your input.
So I think a lot of these businesses, companies, they are really embarrassed to have to go back and say, well, you gotta put your mask back on. And I think that's why it's giving everybody a hard time instead of just using your common sense and saying, let me just throw this mask on. If I have to hand wash it before I do, let's do that.
Lisa, your turn.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I have a lot of friends in Texas. I have oh my gosh, I'm so glad that, the mask mandate is over and all of this other stuff. But at the same time, as we had talked yesterday, a lot of them are also considered unvaccinated, or they don't like the vaccine, or they are vaccinated, but they're not wearing the mask completely. This is what I say. I think that it's irresponsible for you to think that you're going to be in a crowd of people at this point in time and decide that you want to be, immune to COVID. COVID is definitely very real. And the fact that there is a governor here who does not support at least mandatory maskings indoor areas, that's an issue. And obviously he's seen the sentiment of the issue with his own life, with his own livelihood. He has literally stated out of his mouth, the moment that they stated that COVID was at more so of a resting point instead of a rising point. The moment that they stated that, he was the first state to be like, okay, mandatory mask is over, all of this is over. But at the same time, you're not providing adequate information in order for people to stay safe in your state. So how can you, as a leader of a very prominent state, a very prominent and powerful state, how can you take the initiative and state to people, listen, this is not real, this is not, all of those millions of people, whatever I don't know how you can even describe that. How can you even, I guess, even say out of your mouth that COVID is not real, and then you yourself has COVID in a crowd of people? That's what really makes me upset. Before, I don't care about anyone's choice to get vaccinated. That's your personal choice. However, you also need to take the responsibility to stay safe. If you're going to get vaccinated, you still need to be social distancing. If you're not going to get vaccinated, you need to be making sure your immune is up, wearing your mask, covering your face, washing your hands, doing the basic necessities in regards to how you are going to keep yourself safe, because it's more than just you out here. It's more of other people who are affected by this too. People that you may or may not know who have serious illnesses, and that it comes back on them. It comes back on them. So you really have to take into consideration, thank you so much. You have to take into consideration, okay, why is it just not about why is it about everyone else, and just you have to put your own feelings about this aside. The CDC has recommended that you absolutely must take precautions in regards to this. Now, obviously, the CDC has their own guidelines, and you can follow them however you want to when you go to their website. But at the same time, as a leader, as someone who is a leader in this industry, you cannot set the precedence and set the tone to say that this doesn't exist, and then it does. It just doesn't make any sense. So that's my 2 cents.
And so I'm trying to see. If you go on CNN's website and type in the story, right, because I want you to see the number of people in that room. And the title is Texas Governor Greg Abbott has tested positive for COVID. I think that's not. Yeah, Texas Governor Greg Abbott tests positive for COVID-19. And they posted this last night, 8:31 Eastern Standard Time, August 17th. I just want you to see the video of the number of people that were in that room. So, a lot to what like Misa has said about it being irresponsible. And don't get me wrong, you choose what you want to do for yourself and your health, right? But when there is a possibility that you will mass infect hundreds of people, what would you rather be? Because the popular thing in your state is telling you, they saying, oh, I don't want to wear a mask, it's fake, right? But the social conscious, morally ethical thing to do is to still say, hey, we should not be in a large body of people, because even after the president pulled back, right, he still said that only the people who have been vaccinated can gather in small groups without their mask. That room, look at the room. They were close proximity, wasn't no 3 feet. It was hundreds of people in that room, and he's in the middle of the room. So, oh yeah, hey Dartmouth, thank you for coming back. So when you it's serious. It is serious. And I know that we have people that here in our own state, right? Misa and I talked the other day about Governor Ivey here implementing a limited state of emergency, refusing to re-implement the MAP. But we have some of the highest rates in the nation. They want to go back, and so what's your take on that? Like Misa says, some people want to go back to normal so bad. So explain what you mean, because I want to add to that too.
So basically, the settlement that I'm talking about is basically people want to go back to their normal lives. Like they want to go back to, mass gatherings and crowds. We saw not too long ago with the crowd from Rolling Loud. I think it was Rolling Loud Festival, some of these other music festivals where they were, they were standing literally face to face with each other in this time. And what people really don't understand or don't get is that event, I'm sure, was a super spreader event. Some people have COVID and they're not telling you, they're not disclosing that information. And that is what is really scary about this, because that there's tons and tons of people there who may or may not have been vaccinated, and you have people literally on top of each other. That doesn't make it safe for someone who has to go to work the next day and they're surrounded by, people. They're surrounded by, individuals in a hospital. They're surrounded by individuals in a nursing home. Like, how does that make things even more safer? Or if you're at a super spreader event like the Rolling Loud, and then you have to go back to like the office. How does that even, like, I don't understand the correlation between people not. I understand people want to thrive in community. Having these community events, I get it. But for the safety of not just myself, but for the safety of other people who have chronic conditions around me, I'm choosing to not be around people at this time. And it's just what it is. It's just what it is. And I don't know when I'll be back around people. Like,
now my next question to you is this. So this is very serious.
Yes.
You have hundreds of thousands of people that have died, right? What do you think the government, the federal government, what regulations do you think should be, implemented, if any? Because I'm not sure where the state and the federal, but this is, you remember, you guys may have remembered that if someone is known to purposely spread the HIV virus, those are criminal activities.
Yeah.
So if you go against the recommendation, I have not heard the president say everybody gather and party without your mask. I haven't heard the CDC say that. But what I have heard is that the Delta variant is more potent than the original virus, and it keeps strengthening. And you know why it's doing that? Because people are lying. So the virus is mutating and it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger. So now you have people who have been vaccinated, like that governor, still catching the virus, and some of them are dying. The people who chose to be socially responsible, catching it. In Alabama, Children's Hospital, right, is filled with babies who are very sick. Bless you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to mute myself. So
Crystal's face is hilarious. So I was actually on the oh my gosh, that's so funny. I don't know why that's so funny. So she talked about basically what the federal government can do. Other than passing down like certain policies and mandates, I mean, there's really not a lot that they can do. I mean, they could technically declare martial law, but that would be on the extreme side. That would be on the extreme side. But on the other end of it, like, they really have this, as far as the leaders of our country is concerned, they really have this notion of they need to step up when it comes time for making sure that these guidelines are set. You know, if you have one governor saying over here, you know, we're going to follow mandates, and then another governor saying we're not, that sends a mixed message to anyone who is just trying to, okay, how can I get back to some type of normalcy? Some type of normalcy. I think it's going to be a while before we see some type of normalcy, honestly, because we as a nation have to be honest. And I know there's a lot of stipulations around there. Oh, I want to see my loved ones. Oh, I want to see this. Oh, I want to see that. But I got a little cough, tickle in my throat. It's best to be safe than sorry. Literally, it literally is best to be safe than sorry. And what really is bothersome to me is that people are not being honest about it. It's not even the fact that they're being deceptive. It's the fact that you are not being honest with yourself about what you have going on. So for example, right now, I got some drainage and things like that going on. I got some allergy things like that going on. I'm trying to stay away as best as possible because I know for a fact I don't have COVID, but just to be on the safe side, for me, I want to make sure that I'm not passing anything else to anyone. I've always done like the recommendation, which is, you know, social distance, wash your hands, etc. But at the same time, I need to take those extra precautions for myself to make sure that I am being in my best tip-top shape. And if you're not doing that, if you're not making sure that you are at your highest physical self possible, when the virus, or if the virus, you know, decides to do whatever it wants to do, you can be ready. You know what I'm saying? You can take those preventative measures for yourself. You don't have to wait for, you know, whoever's doctor or whatever told you to do this. No, you can take the actions and preventative measures for yourself in order for you to be more cognizant and more aware of what's going on around you. So that's just my take on it. I think we are going to see a lot of more rolling back from this on the state level, like of what's going to happen. And also we're probably going to see a lot more lawsuits. We're going to see a lot more lawsuits from businesses, because when the governors say, hey, listen, we're going to shut down, that hurts them immediately. Immediately hurts them. So they're like, okay, what are we going to do about this? And the last time it happened, obviously the American government, what they do in all crisis, they pump money or pump paper back into, you know, the economy. But that can only work for so long. That can only work for so long, especially when you owe so many people so much. So you can't pump paper back into an economy that's on the tip of the iceberg. That's a whole nother conversation. But what I'm saying is, probably what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot more lawsuits from business owners to local governments, state governments, federal governments, and governors, because their livelihood is going to be stripped from them. If the spread of this Delta variant keeps going the way that it's going, we're going to have to shut down again, and the livelihood is going to be stripped. So that's why more unemployment. Absolutely. Yes, more unemployment. And we don't know when that's going to stop. We don't know, meaning like we don't know what the policies and guidelines of the unemployment is going to be for.
Right.
So yeah, absolutely. We got a lot that's going to be happening down the tube. So yeah, and infrastructure. That's kind of crazy, because I don't understand why Biden is so worried about infrastructure now on the roads, but we need to take care of this COVID business before we even start thinking about that. So that's just my 2 cents.
And honestly, I think that what the information that they give him is not all factual. Right? So, but I don't know. But I think it's so much when you are in a position where you are responsible for all of these lives and everything is coming at you, right? And then you fighting with the states because they won't do the right thing. And you're trying to push the country, the nation forward. Now, my thing, you brought up some good points about the shutdown, right? Now, why are we so stuck on doing business the way it used to be? With all this technology, you mean to tell me that we can't look at people in the year of our Lord 2021 are weird and can't be told anything, so we may never get rid of it? Well, I think that the shutdown was an excellent opportunity for people to say, look at their business and do a SWOT analysis, right? You've got to take because when you think about the fact that we all still, but not everybody, some of us were able to thrive and grow. And that is because we took a look at what was happening with the economy, with the nation, and we knew that you have to use technology. That is the answer. Why are we still operating like it's 1920s? Some of what is going on, like the businesses, whatever we're providing, like if it's not a servicing like medical and so, there are things that we could do differently. Yeah. And we really think that there is going to be another government shutdown. Go, Misa.
Absolutely, it is going to be another government shutdown. But I want to go just backtrack just a tiny bit in regards to what you were saying about the businesses wanting things to go back to where they were.
Mm-hmm.
That speeds up something that was technically already happening, which is the retail apocalypse. And I don't know if you've heard of that phrase before in the news. I actually was just listening to something, not listening, I'm sorry. I got a report in my inbox from I think it was MSNBC that was talking about like over more than half of businesses that opened up in 2019 has decided to turn over and go online. So we're talking about millions of businesses that have like retail stores, people who opened up in malls, people who have opened up from 2019, which was not too long ago,
Right.
less than 18 to 24 months ago. Like they decided to have to pivot and switch to go online. So that is something that a lot of retailers are trying to push back against, because again, you got the holidays coming up, you got the that whole standing in line bit, you're going to see less and less and less of that. Obviously, you're going to see less and less and less of that because of what's going on from an economic standpoint. It's just because technology is taking over so rapidly.
Right.
That's just what that was coming to an end anyway. But this hyper speeds that up because obviously the pandemic, people ain't going to stand in nobody's line. Right. Obviously, because of, it's cold outside. No one wants to. People are paying more and more for convenience. And if you're not convenient, you're out of here. You are out very quickly.
Crystal and I was telling Crystal about like for the movie theater whole setup, right? It really isn't a need for that anymore, because they really need to put together some type of plan or package that people can pay for so that they can watch it from the convenience of their homes. The film industry really don't have to suffer. Now, I understand that you guys were making money off of popcorn and all this other stuff, but there's ways to get around that. There are ways you can have stuff, offer something with Amazon and ship it to the home or whatever. I don't know. But we have to start thinking about our future and what we see. Because what is going on now is we need to take less time trying to all be together and fit in a tight space and spread out.
Right. So I was just thinking back to myself, like a couple years ago, I wanted to go to a concert by a really famous star. She's known all over the world. I wanted to go to this concert and I was so mad at myself. Like I couldn't go to this concert. But now just thinking about it, I was like, I wouldn't be caught dead in a concert. And I think specifically, you talk about, okay, Crystal, I'm gonna actually touch on your point right now. You said everything right now is so high, and the reason that is because it's the cost of convenience. That's the point. Okay, so if you have like the retailers now, and then like people who are online right here, the cost of convenience basically, it takes up. What did Nicole do? Nicole done left. The cost of convenience is what is driving those prices up. People are more willing to pay for convenience than they are to pay for something that's not, cost and demand. Absolutely, 100%. And it's going to be happening more and more and more. People would rather pay $40. Listen to this. They would rather pay $40 for a deep conditioner that they can get online, so they don't ever have to like go outside, do whatever, have gas, whatever, than to go to Target and pay $10 for it. Think about that. That's almost a triple increase for convenience. And the reason I know that for a fact is because I've done it. I've done it myself. I've done it. I didn't want to go out in the store to get a deep conditioner. So guess what? I went to Amazon, paid more for it because I could get it on my front door in 2 to 5 days. Instead of going right down the street, getting it for $10. But that's triple the price that it will be.
Right.
Triple the price and that cost is because the convenience costs. I'm willing to pay the convenient cost for me to not get out of my home, for me to drive there, go to the store, deal with people, go with, stand in line. It's just, the price of convenience is going to either make or break small businesses. And they are noticing that more and more and more. Because, okay, so let's backtrack just a few years, back in like 2018, 2017. Remember on the news, like during holiday season, they was talking about, oh, we're open during Thanksgiving. Oh, we're open during, Christmas now. The reason that is because they're trying to keep up with the convenience.
Right.
They're trying to keep up with the convenience. I can go on Amazon 24/7, 365. Amazon don't close. Mm-hmm. SD don't close. Tesla don't close. You know what I'm saying? They don't close. So how can a store down the street, even though it's less expensive, compete with that?
Right.
I need it now. Whatever it is, I need it right now. How are you going to give it to me?
So I think this is an opportunity for them to look at their business model and take this time to change the direction. So instead of being so focused on, oh, we can't shut down. If you shut down, you're going to hurt. Well, did you not learn from what happened before? And honestly, there were so many warnings saying there's going to be another outbreak, something else is coming. We had the warnings. And if you wasn't wearing your mask and you're not vaccinated, then did you really think you wasn't going to get it? What really bothers me about people today is they are so quick to think that the government is implementing a conspiracy theory. where all of these people, so do you mean to tell me that the government would kill all of these people, which takes money out of their pocket because you can't pay taxes no more, then so it's crazy. But I got another story for you. Listen to what's coming.
Wait.
And
I got something to
honestly,
say. I got something to say. So, Misa, you mean to tell me that's why them people was ordering one thing Saturday and I went.
Wait, they were doing what? They was ordering what?
So
Jesus, girl.
on the weekends I do Uber just because, and it's extra money. But I got 4 deliveries, and each 4 of those people had one thing. It was like one toy, one roll of toilet tissue, one thing of batteries, and another one's like hair glue. And I kept thinking to myself, they could have went and got this themselves. But now that you said that, I see why.
Yes. And the reason they're doing that, Crystal, again, like I said, it's the cost of convenience.
Mm-hmm.
That is what's going to be the driving force of what is going to be. And I've been studying this for, I think, I want to say since early 2019. Like, oh crap, convenience is going to kill a lot of these small businesses. It's going to kill them because people want their stuff now. They need to have it right now. And if you don't have it right now, I'm going to somebody else who can get it to me right now.
Right. So you
I
could
don't have to go to Walmart. I can go to Target. You know what I'm saying? It's the same concept. Same concept. And I don't know if y'all been looking into the news or not, but somebody is kind of like on a bigger scale, kind of fighting back against that convenience right now. I don't know if you heard about like the whole Scarlett Johansson thing. Anyway, she was the star of Black Widow, and she's suing Disney because of, you know, the whole on demand in regards to her contract. But my whole thing, even on a bigger scale, my whole thing about that is this: you can't fight convenience.
no.
You can't fight convenience.
No.
And that was a executive decision that they had to make
Right.
in order for them to recoup the cost of that film. That film cost almost damn near $1 billion.
Right.
Does she have $1 billion she's going to give them to recoup that money back? No. So she may possibly have a case because of her contract and the stipulations of her contract, but at the same time, you cannot fight convenience.
Right.
You cannot fight the demand of the market. And I think that's what a lot of people are not understanding. If you don't know what the market is going to have coming up next, it's going to drown you. It's going to drown your business.
The COVID-19 vaccines that are authorized in the United States have been remarkably effective, even against the widespread Delta variant. But we know that even highly effective vaccines become less effective over time. Our goal has been to determine when that time might come for the COVID-19 vaccines, so we can make a plan to take proactive steps to extend and enhance the protection the vaccines are giving us. Having reviewed the most current data, it is now our clinical judgment that the time to lay out a plan for COVID-19 boosters is now. Recent data makes clear that protection against mild and moderate disease has decreased over time. This is likely due to both waning immunity and the strength of the widespread Delta variant. Even though this new data affirms that vaccine protection remains high against the worst outcomes of COVID, we are concerned that this pattern of decline we are seeing will continue in the months ahead, which could lead to reduced protection against severe disease, hospitalization, and death. That is why today we are announcing our plan to stay ahead of this virus by being prepared to offer COVID-19 booster shots to fully vaccinated adults 18 years and older. They would be eligible for their booster shot 8 months after receiving their second dose of the Pfizer or Moderna mRNA vaccines. We plan to start this program the week of September 20th, 2021. I want to be very clear. This plan is pending the FDA conducting an independent evaluation of the safety and effectiveness of the third dose of the Pfizer and Moderna mRNA vaccines, and the CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices issuing booster dose recommendations based on a thorough review of the evidence.
Okay, so they're going to start with the booster for people who've had both vaccination shots, and you can get it after 8 months has passed. 18 and older. Okay, so 18 and older. And you see what they're doing is trying to slow it down. They're not saying they have a cure. They don't have a cure. They just making the work. People that won't take precautions is making the work harder. Now there is another story on here that I saw that I want to play about a man. Listen to this. There's a man that refuses to get vaccinated. So I want the Surgeon General is gonna react to what he hears about this man. So hold on one second.
I was going to say something about that cure, but I'll touch on that in like 2 seconds.
Okay.
After this, I'm going to write it down so I won't forget.
Yeah, I need to start writing stuff down too.
Let's listen to one unvaccinated man who told CNN's Donny O'Sullivan his reasons for avoiding the shot. Here's what he said the other day.
Have you been vaccinated?
No,
Why not?
I'm not going to.
Any particular reason?
God gave us natural immunities to everything.
See,
Why would you want to interfere?
you're an older man than I am. You're probably in the what the government would say is the risk category.
Well, who come up with that?
The scientists and the doctors.
Who told them to say that?
What would you say to him, doctor?
Well, first, what I would say is that at first I wouldn't say anything. I would listen. I would try to understand what his concerns are, what he's heard about natural immunity compared to vaccine-related immunity, and then I try to talk to him about what we have understood actually from the studies about natural immunity. We are seeing more and more data that tells us that while you get some protection from natural infection, it's not nearly as strong as what you get from the vaccine, especially with the Delta variant, which is the hardiest and most contagious variant we've seen to date. We need all the protection that we can get. That's why the vaccines are so effective.
But I also hear that man saying he doesn't trust anybody. He thinks the doctors and scientists are being told what to say. It's this profound loss of social trust that obviously predates the pandemic. And I wonder if you, at the end of the night, you just say there's only so much we can do to win back people's trust.
Well, it's a really important point because this is about trust. And you can't repair trust overnight or in one conversation. And so sometimes the conversations we have may not seem to move the needle at all, even if we are armed with the facts and with the science. And that's why the messenger matters in addition to the message. This effort to protect our country against COVID-19 by getting people vaccinated, this has to be a people-powered effort that we build all across America. This is not just about what the government can do. This is not just about what hospitals will do. It's about the choice that we make to pick up the phone, call our family and friends, ask them if they've been vaccinated, hear them out. If they haven't been, but then help them get the facts and get a place, that they can get vaccinated, which they can easily now find at vaccines.gov.
Okay, so this is a governor, the doctor. This is the last one I'm gonna play. But this is a doctor who is reacting to Ron DeSantis COVID-19 comments, and this will be the last one.
Let's listen to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. He is still continuing this battle against mask mandates. Let's take a listen.
They are basically saying that we are all just subservient to medical authoritarianism. Whatever they think needs to be done, we have to submit to it. It's probably, Tucker, the most significant threat to freedom in my lifetime, certainly since the fall of the Berlin Wall.
the Berlin Wall. Right. I have news for the governor. A greater threat to freedom is being paralyzed in a drug-induced coma on a ventilator in an ICU. The governor of Florida is violating the rule of holes. You know the rule of holes? When you find yourself in a hole, stop digging. Right. He has dug himself an enormous hole in Florida, and he has handcuffed himself. He has removed the tools that a governor has to try and suppress a pandemic like this, enforcing masking requirements, closing down crowded venues, incentivizing people either positively or negatively to get vaccinated. He's removed all of these tools, and he's found himself in a deep, deep hole, yet he keeps digging.
All right, so that's the last. Who wants to go first? Could y'all hear
Yeah,
him?
I heard it.
Hear everything?
I'll go first. So I want to touch on what that one guy said in regards to the distrust in the medical community. The medical community has not touched a lot on that distrust, because that distrust is absolutely very real. And it's not just real in white people, but it's definitely real in the African American community. We've seen what happened in Tuskegee. We've seen what happened with previous experiments with the whole birth control thing. We as African Americans, we don't trust the doctor like we used to. We just don't. There's certain doctors that we just don't trust. I can name you off 10 people right now who do not trust doctors because they have had a history of being paddle wheeled, of being sent here, there, and everywhere, or even given medication that they were not even afforded or allotted to when it comes to doctors. Even me, myself, have been misdiagnosed on something, thinking that you have one thing and you really don't even have that thing. So it really just comes back to what is the medical community doing in regards to mending that trust factor again. There's a lot of misinformation out there. Don't get me wrong. There is a lot of misinformation out there, but the medical community, I think, needs to do a better job in combating and building a bridge for the trust to be back, as opposed to just kind of scallywagging it. Because I feel like you can inundate somebody with facts all day, every day. You absolutely can, don't get me wrong. But unless you are building the compassionate bridge, a lot of people are just not going to hear you. They're not going to hear you. And I feel like, that's a lot to say. As far as that doctor is concerned, he has the facts to back it up. So I don't underestimate anybody's credentials. But I also don't underestimate anybody's deceptiveness as well. You know what I mean?
And so the doctor who brought up the point of lack of trust is the Surgeon General.
Right.
And the fact that when he said that, because I didn't even realize that's what was happening. He actually helped me to understand what was going on when he said that. Because there are some doctors, like, I won't go, Crystal, no. This hospital down here that's supposed to be the largest one in Birmingham, I'm not going there. I've already told them. No. So that makes sense. But how do you bridge the gap? Like, what can you do?
I think bridging the gap starts with listening. It starts with listening, really listening and understanding people's stories, because people have a reason in regards to why they are choosing the way that they are choosing things. 100%. And I feel like if someone thinks that they're not listening to you, then that is going to shut off every form of communication that you ever can have. Right. So it starts with something as simple as listening. It really, really does. And listening to what the person has to say and their experiences, because they can't all be wrong. You know what I mean?